Yo, what's going on guys? Arekkz here, welcome back to another Monster Hunter World video, and today we are talking Iceborne. If you guys haven't seen the developer update that went live earlier on today, then during that, as well as talking about some of the content coming in the immediate future, they also spoke about the next big expansion to Monster Hunter World that is essentially a new game, adding a new area, new monsters, new gear, G-rank and things like that. Then that is what we're talking about today. In this video, we're going to go over the trailer. It was only a brief trailer, but there's a few things I want to call out, and then we can kind of talk a little bit more about what G-rank means. For those of you guys that are maybe new to Monster Hunter, kind of talk about what that means as a whole. So if you do enjoy this, then a like would be super appreciated. Comment down below if you have any questions. If you guys have an entered our giveaway for the limited edition Super Smash Bros. Nintendo Switch, then be sure to click that link in the description box down below. And if you want to know more about the upcoming events in the immediate future, some of the seasonal ones and things we've got to do over the next few weeks, then stay tuned. I'll have a separate video on that coming very soon. But in this video, I want to talk just about Iceborne. Now, to begin with, before we dive into the actual trailer itself, let's just take a quick moment to recap what we currently have. So, autumn 2019 is the current release window for this. Obviously, we don't have an exact date just yet. It's only just been announced, so I imagine we'll find that out in the new year as we get closer to it. But autumn 2019 is the window we have. Now, yes, that is a little bit further away, but typically if you guys are, say, new to Monster Hunter, then in the past, this has always been the way that Monster Hunter has typically worked. You have an initial version that launches that often has low rank and high rank. It has, a bunch of content, and then there's a lot of post-launch free DLC or kind of free quests they'll then give people to kind of keep them busy. And then somewhere in the realms of a year and a half later on, then they release a second expansion, which is the G-rank version, the ultimate version. This adds new areas, new monsters, new gear, new quests, a whole ton of new content. It's essentially a new game in itself, almost the equivalent size of the original one on top of it, which is precisely why it is always a paid expansion. So for those of you guys asking, will this be free, will this be paid? This will be a paid expansion. The game itself obviously launched in January. They then gave us a ton of free DLC throughout the year, and this will be the next sizable one that will actually build on the base game. So by that nature, it's of course going to be much bigger. There'll be a lot of stuff in it, and it will of course add a ton more stuff to be excited about. So, with that being said, what does it mean to be G-rank? Now, bear in mind in this actual trailer, as we'll see towards the end, they didn't actually refer to it specifically as G-rank. That is a term that we as Monster Hunter players typically use because it's the rank we've been used to throughout the years. They referred to it in the trailer specifically as new quest ranks. Now, if I had to hazard a guess, I'd say the reason they're doing this is purely just to make it slightly more accessible or make it make more sense to newer players, because in the same way that they didn't call Monster Hunter World Monster Hunter 5, they called it Monster Hunter World because obviously if you're a new player and you find out it's the 5th installment, it might be a little bit daunting trying to jump in, and obviously they've named this one Iceborne as opposed to Monster Hunter World G or Ultimate. Then I think it's probably just a means to essentially make things slightly more accessible or understandable for newer players. I'd be willing to bet that ultimately this quote-unquote new quest rank is still going to essentially be G-rank, but that's kind of probably the meaning behind it. Now, for those of you guys wondering exactly what it is, it's basically a new tier of difficulty. However, the way that it differs is that G-rank in the past isn't just the same monsters and stronger. Often those monsters will have a few new moves, and they will also have completely new armor sets as well. Whereas in the current game, if you go from low rank to high rank, the gear sets look exactly the same, they just have different stats. In G-rank, the gear looks completely and utterly different, as you'll see towards the end of the trailer when we actually get a look at a couple of sets. I think Anjanath was one of those. So, new gear, new quests, new rank, new weapons, lots of cool stuff like that. Of course, there'll be new monsters, there may well be returning monsters, as we've sort of seen from the trailer. We've seen that hint of Nagakuga, and we also have a new map. And often within this, there'll also be, balance changes to weapons, sometimes new mechanics. So, yeah, when it comes to actually understanding what you can kind of get from this, it is going to be a sizable amount of content. But anyway, with that being said, let's dive into the actual trailer and see what we have. The first part is, in truth, there's not really a great deal to talk about it. It kind of starts off in the old area. We see the ancient forest, we see the battle with Rathalos, we see Anjanath, we see the hunters. There's really nothing new here, but essentially kind of starts to lead towards the new stuff when Rathalos flies away. The hunters chase after them, they get to the kind of edge of the cliff, and they see Rathalos flying off into the distance. And this is, of course, Rathalos flying off to the new continent, or the new kind of map area, so to speak. Now, it's kind of a shame that he didn't sort of do like a flyby or a fly over the actual new area to kind of give us a better glimpse at it, but you can clearly see in the distance there are tall mountain peaks, there's like an icy area, there's this sort of, misty cloud all around it. So, that paired with the fact that the actual game is called Monster Hunter World Iceborne, it's, without question, a new icy map. Now, the one thing also worth calling out is actually taking a look at the logo itself. The logo for Monster Hunter is always typically linked to some of the key monsters that you will fight in game. Now, obviously, it's kind of hard to sort of actually work out what this is from this simple image, but you can guarantee that the image that you see here is essentially an iconic representation of one of the new monsters that will be in game. It'll probably be the flagship, maybe it'll be an Elder Dragon, so there's going to be some kind of ice monster that will of course be in keeping with the theme of the game. But what I really want to talk about is the next bit. Obviously, after announcing it comes in autumn 2019, it shows you this very quick section here. Now this is, I would be willing to bet all the Zenny that I possibly have in all my characters across any game that this is without question Nagakuga. Now for those of you guys again that are new to Monster Hunter, Nagakuga is a monster that looks like this. It is an incredibly awesome monster. First introduced in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, it has some incredibly awesome armor, has some really awesome weapons, and it's one of those monsters that will definitely test you when it comes to learning its move patterns. I remember the first few times I fought it, it used to give me a load of trouble. And then of course, once I got used to it, I then farmed it for its armor and wore it as a hat. But it's a really cool monster. Skeleton-wise, it's based off, or kind of it's very similar to Arekkz, who is one of my favorite monsters in the game. And I hope that, if Nagakuga's in it, I'm hoping that Arekkz might also make his own return and, he will fit very nicely in a nice map. But this, without question, those red eyes are super iconic, and it's, if this isn't Nagakuga, I will eat my hat. Let's put it that way. But that's a very cool monster, and obviously that being in the trailer shows that not only will we more than likely have new monsters, we'll also have returning monsters. So, there is of course, as mentioned, going to be a fair amount of stuff to look forward to. And following on from that, we then get a look at these hunters here. Now this is precisely what I was talking about at the beginning. This is a selection of armor from the expansion. And the one that I want to focus on to begin with is the central one. If you guys have played the game, then of course you'll be familiar with this being the Anjanath female armor set. However, the one that we see in the picture, I'm assuming this is Anjanath based on the colouring, the scales, the actual design. It looks remarkably like Anjanath gear, but whenever you get to G rank, the designs are drastically different. It's not just a slight colour variation or a slight, addition of like a belt or something here. They are drastic reworks, and often you'll find that some of the G rank gear is the coolest looking gear. So that in itself gives you a good idea as to how some of the gear may change. Some of this stuff here is obviously new. We have the one with the Viking looking beard. I don't recognise that in any way. It's obviously got antlers to it, but it looks like it comes from a brand new monster, so that in itself is pretty exciting. The one to the far right, shout out to Rage Gaming, he actually said that this could well be G-Rank Gyros gear, which would be awesome because, Gyros or Gyros, I really like the monster in the past, but never really got too much attention in World, so if they kind of brought that back and gave you this really cool, like, hunter-looking gear for that, I would be all about that. And the one on the far left, it kind of has that Toby Kadachi vibe, so it could well be linked to that, or it could also be a brand new ice monster. Maybe it's one of those like low-tier ones, kind of like a Baggy or a Great Baggy, something like that. That's basically the ice version of the Raptors, but that in itself is something you can definitely expect in the expansion. Any monster that you fought previously in low rank and high rank, when you encounter it again, it's going to have a completely new set of armor. So that is of course a new pursuit, and on top of that there will also be new weapons or new variations of the weapons, new rarities, you can continue upgrading those. I would be willing to bet that any of the weapons right now that don't necessarily have the most exciting forms, or perhaps haven't necessarily fully realized their potential, will hopefully have slightly more exciting forms in the expansion. That is one thing I do hope they address. I do hope there are a lot less of those weapons that essentially just look like iron weapons with parts slapped on. I do hope they kind of go back towards the more unique weapon designs. You can of course see if you look at the bowgun that there's definitely sort of, aspects of that coming through, so I really do hope they, double down on that and bring that back in Iceborne. Now, following on from that, if you actually look at the trailer, there's a couple more things. Of course, there's text that comes up on screen saying a massive expansion. Then down below it says the new quest rank, as we've already spoken about, monsters, locales, moves, and equipment. Now, moves is an interesting one. I don't know whether that implies there'll be, completely new movesets, or whether they'll be adding additional moves for the weapons. Not entirely sure how that'll work. It could work, say, like the Monster Hunter Online system, whereby you unlock them, you select them, and then it kind of gives you a few different move permutations for your existing weapons. That could be really cool, and it could then, of course, add a whole new dynamic to the way you use and play the weapons, and it probably also means they need to make a whole new set of weapon tutorials, but hey, that's something to do. After that, it also says there's a new story that begins as well, so there is plenty more stuff to look forward to. So there you have it. That's a quick rundown of everything we currently have. Of course, the announcement's only just happened, so I imagine there'll be more information coming over the next few days and weeks, and obviously as we get closer to launch in the new year, then there'll be plenty more to find out about. So as always, if you guys want to stay bang up to date, then be sure to keep it locked, because I'll have all the information you could possibly want right here. If you don't want to miss any of that, then click that notification button to stay up to date. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to check out some more awesome stuff from us here at Arekkz Gaming, then you should definitely try to catch TwoSixNine and Paradise Central streaming 6 days a week. You can find a link to the multi-stream in the description box down below. They play a wide range of games, and what's more, we also have the end game store. By watching their streams, you earn currency, and you can redeem that currency on the endgame store for really cool prizes. Those can range from things like games, comics, and figures, all the way up to controllers, capture cards, and even consoles. So definitely drop by and become part of the community. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, then make sure you're subscribed and be sure to click on that little bell icon to turn on notifications so you don't miss our next upload. You can watch more videos by clicking on the options here, but once again, thanks very much for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.